I can talk about myself and how I found out about how I put my life plan, my Jane life plan together this lifetime. At the age of about 5 or 6, my mother was very ill, and she went to the hospital. She had tuberculosis, and in the 30s, when you had tuberculosis, you ended up being quarantined, and she was gone for 2 years. And this little girl, 5-year-old little girl, didn't know what happened to her mother. All of a sudden, one day, mother disappeared, and I didn't understand what the hospital was or how she was going, what was going on with her. I just knew that my mom wasn't there anymore. And my grandmother came to take care of me. And every day, my grandmother would play the piano. Sometime during the day, and little Janie would sit with her grandma, and we'd sing in the garden. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with that song, but it's He walks with me, and he talks to me, and he tells me I'm his own. And I sang that song for almost 2 years with my grandmother. And I knew that God, I took God's hand. It was the comfort that this little girl had, because she was scared. She was not with her brothers. Her father was between coming and visiting me and visiting my brothers that were being taken care of by my aunt. And so I was frightened. But I had something to hang on to. And that something I hung on to was that song. And as that was working in my consciousness, I began to feel God's going to talk to me someday. I know it. So that little girl, that was a huge desire on that little girl's part. She wanted that. It was like I came into this lifetime knowing God was going to talk to me. And then, when I began to uncover my soul's desires and why I had that desire so early in my life, was because in another lifetime I had spent my whole life in a convent and praying with God and wanting to know God and wanting to do good things and learn to love and do all this stuff. But I had made it to the place, it was a Catholic convent, of course, in 1500. And I had not made it in my consciousness to understand God was way out there. At that time they taught me God was out there and God was ruling me. And somehow in my consciousness I wanted to know God this lifetime. So I came back in this lifetime with a desire to access my God consciousness. Now, if you will track back in your lifetime, there is a time in your life, and I know it's the truth of each and every one of you sitting here, and I can say it with authority. You absolutely had a time in your life when you had a lifetime, when you were dedicated to God. Maybe you were a monk, maybe you were a Buddhist, maybe you were whatever you were. You dedicated yourself to moving in consciousness the best you could. I know that's the truth of everyone sitting here, because you wouldn't be in this class if you hadn't had some sort of a spiritual desire in your heart to move in consciousness and to know more of God in you, to know that there is an aspect of you that God is in you, and you want to tap that source in you. So each and every one of you have had in your past, in your history, the desire to know God. The desire. And that desire is flourishing in you right now. That's why you're studying. That's why you want to meditate.